That's good stuff. Coffee in hand. The morning after grand 3.18 Sentinel reveal. I was not online for the live reveal. I was sleeping. And as hype as I am, as excited as I am, not really worth losing a bunch of sleep over. But that comes with a positive, because now, instead of having to react to this live, I get to react to it after the fact off of a YouTube video, which means I get the opportunity to pause and give my thoughts on the fly without being too constrained with that. Of course, that naturally means this is going to be a very long video. While I haven't gone on YouTube and seen any of it yet, I haven't even checked the forums and the Reddit, which is no doubt in a massive buzz right now. All kinds of, uber hype neckbeards, angry part-time nerds, and the like. I suspect the place is just completely on fire right now. I'll get in on that action in a little bit, but first, again, another authentic Snoo Reacts. We have the forum here. I think this is the place I should be, right here. You see in front of you Sentinel. There it is. Watch the trailer. We've already done that. That came out a while back. Watch the Sentinel Reveal. That seems to be the thing I need to do next. Read the patch notes. Okay, the patch notes already came out. Oh, what's the number one comment say? TLDR Sag. Casual is our unwanted league. Here, league. Not looking good. Oh, bless me. Oh, the tears. Oh. I almost can't stop myself from looking at more of those comments. Okay. Go figure, that's the number one content. Let's do this here. I suspect that if you are watching this now, maybe you decided that you would wait until Snooze React to see this reveal yourself, to which case I would say, aw, that's nice that you would select me as number one. More likely, you probably already watched this live and you decided to come check out to see what I had to say, in which case that's great, I'm honored you would choose me, the small-time streamer, to see my take on what this is. Or perhaps you've already watched this live and you've seen half a dozen or more other content creators and you're kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel to see if you can find any other hot takes or whatnot. Every single potential perspective imaginable. To which case I might say, still sane, Exile? Alright, I'm ready. Are you? Let's do this.
In the wake of your power, something has arisen. Dark sentinels, hungry for a share. But these cruel constructs can be harnessed. Take them, bind them to your will. Test and tinker, combine and reconfigure. And together, you will find your fortune. Some sentinels are powerful. Others are dangerous. But in a world with shifting stars, monstrous new threats, and valuable treasures, you will need them.
Okay, I didn't expect Sentinels to
await
be
your
the bad guys. Or maybe they're kind of neutral and they just spawn a bunch of bad guys. Probably more like it. I guess we'll find out here in a moment.
I'm sure you have a lot of questions, so let's get started with a full explanation of the upcoming Sentinel Challenge League. Sentinels are ancient constructs that have been unearthed across Rayclast. In this league, you will collect these Sentinels and attempt to harness their great power. But this symbiosis is not without risks. Once deployed, a Sentinel follows you, watching and waiting for you to enter combat. As you encounter
charging up,
enemies,
right?
the Sentinel will fire a beam that doesn't damage the enemy, but rather empowers them. This not only amplifies the difficulty of the foe, but also the rewards that it yields.
What if you kill like 100 monsters in
There
a
are
half
3
second?
classes of Sentinels that you will find as you kill monsters in this league. Stalker Sentinels will follow you for around 30 seconds, empowering dozens of monsters before they dissipate. This is like a build-your-own breach or delirium effect, because
the
you
sound of
control
that.
what monsters
I
you're
like both
fighting
of
when you
those
deploy the Sentinel, and through
One of my
various
favorites.
means that we'll describe shortly, you're also in control of how much the monsters are empowered. In contrast to Stalker Sentinels, Pandemonium Sentinels are designed for mass area of effect, and typically only fire one shot. But this shot really counts, chaining between monsters to affect an entire screen full of foes at once. This class of Sentinel can be very dangerous because it empowers so many enemies at one time. The final
Good.
class,
The more the merrier.
Apex Sentinels, can only empower rare or unique enemies. They fire fewer shots but have a much
beyond
larger
bosses.
impact on difficulty and reward. You start with a single slot to equip a Stalker Sentinel, but as you play through the league, you can eventually unlock 2 more Sentinel slots so that you can have 1 Sentinel of each class equipped at a time. Each class of Sentinel can be deployed only once per
Red,
area that
yellow,
you play.
blue, okay.
You'll quickly develop various strategies for when each class of Sentinel is best used. For example, saving your Pandemonium Sentinel for when you're surrounded by monsters, or using your Apex Sentinel on the map boss or league content that spawns several rare monsters. With a full loadout of Sentinels equipped, in every map you'll get to empower bosses of your choice, juice up an entire screen at once with a button press, and choose the part of the map where it's best to empower a series of dozens of monsters.
Oh, this sounds like... it sounds like what might be going on here is it forces you to slow down, so you actually like allow the the screen to fill up with monsters, which means you can't automatically just, you know, go in and just blitz everything instantly. Maybe you have to sort of run in, which I could definitely do that, especially at the beginning of a map. Plenty of times I run into a cemetery and run straight for a shrine, and then the entire map is just like absolutely loaded with monsters. I guess it could work.
Sentinels cannot be damaged by monsters in combat, but do gradually deplete their internal power supply each time you use them. They can be found as you play and are incompatible with traditional Rayclastian crafting techniques. However, new Sentinels with different properties can be assembled from the depleted husks of others that you have used until their internal power supplies ran out. We'll explain that crafting process in more detail later on.
Sounds quite convoluted.
You can find magic Sentinels that have mods on them. These mods can augment the base properties of a Sentinel, extending its duration, making it empower monsters faster, increasing the number it can empower, or even the degree to which the monsters are empowered, affecting both their difficulty and rewards. Some mods will add specific drops such as currency items, essences, or unique items to monsters empowered by the Sentinel, but at the cost of increasing how difficult the monster is to defeat. You can also occasionally find rare Sentinels that have
Delirium
more than 2
combined with
mods on
Breach
them.
combined with
These are generally
Metamorph.
quite a lot more powerful than normal or magic Sentinels if you find the right combination
At
of
least.
mods. The Sentinels you find as you explore Rayclast will become more powerful. Some particularly powerful ones with special properties can only come from the process of assembling new Sentinels from depleted ones. While the Sentinels you find generally get
What is
better and better
this?
as you play through the league, you can also upgrade the behavior and properties of Sentinels through your Sentinel controller.
It's just a leveling up tree.
The Sentinel controller is like a runic circuit board. It's what powers your Sentinels and allows you to customize them. There are specific nodes for each of the 3 types of Sentinel,
I'm sure there
so
will
you can
be
customize
one
the
best
properties and
route
behavior
to
of
rule
all of
them
them,
all.
or potentially focus on your favorite base types. As you
I
play
wonder
through
if
the
there's one
league
that
and kill more and
increases
more
divination
enemies
target
affected by your
chance.
Sentinels, your controller will gain power. You start with 4 units, which is enough to power your first Sentinel slot and your first runic node. By the end game, you are able to work up to 30 power units, which is enough for almost half of the controller to be powered at once.
Okay.
So how do you choose which runic nodes to power? You do this by connecting
Go
them together
online
with
and check
filaments.
what all the
Power
PoE
flows from
gods
the
have
top
to
of the
say.
circuit through the filaments until it is all in use by the nodes you have connected. You can set up filaments in advance and they'll automatically be used as more power becomes available. Moving filaments around has no cost. It's basically like a planning tool that gradually gets activated
that's
as you gain
nice.
more power throughout the league. So you're not locked into a specific plan and you can respec for free at any time.
2?
Some
costs you
powerful
2
runic
points,
nodes require
okay.
2 filaments and hence allocate more of your power when activated. Additional Sentinel slots, For other types like Pandemonium and Apex Sentinels, for example, require 3 filaments, and hence 3 power units each.
3?
While it's almost always best to have all 3 slots powered so you can use all 3 Sentinels per area, there are niche strategies where you want to unpower specific Sentinel slots in order to have more power for additional runic nodes. Also,
I'm sure the some content creators will give us all the best, very best information on what the best strategy is for this.
You can fully specialize in just 1 or 2 Sentinel types. Just to reiterate, you can change your allocation as much as you like, so feel free to experiment. This powerful runic node allows Pandemonium Sentinels to be used an additional time each area.
Quickly.
While this is basically pure upside, you should definitely plan around the fact that you'll be running their charge down pretty quickly if you use this node. This runic node prevents your Stalker Sentinels from empowering normal rarity enemies. While this seems very powerful at first because you'll just be empowering magic, rare, or unique enemies that benefit greatly from the boost of item drops, you should be aware that unless you have a large source of special enemies, you'll be fighting against the flight duration of your Sentinels and will probably want to build around increasing their duration. While the Sentinel controller lets you specialize how the different classes of Sentinels behave, it's generally not necessary to have to modify it for each new Sentinel that you equip. The runic nodes you have chosen represent your overall strategy for each class of Sentinel and rarely need to be tweaked if you swap one Sentinel for another. As you use Sentinel...
I'm pretty sure I'm going to choose whatever strat. I will probably not need to increase duration. I'll probably just need to increase potency. Because, you know, if I'm blitzing through a map extremely quickly, maybe... I'm more concerned with whether or not the Sentinel even has time to empower enemies. Which as fast as I move.
Across a number of maps, they eventually run out of charge and will become depleted. But they don't need to be thrown away when this occurs. You can find power cores that let you assemble a new Sentinel with a full charge. This process disassembles 2 existing Sentinels and creates a hybrid of the 2, with their properties combined together. Right-clicking a power core opens up an assembly screen. If you insert 2 Sentinels and click the Assemble button, a new, fully charged one will be created.
Already looks better than Arch Nemesis UI. Just saying. Wow. Graphics.
This process is a complex and unpredictable one that can either inherit properties from the input Sentinels or potentially produce new ones that weren't based on either of them. For example, the base type of the Sentinel could either be the left input Sentinel, the right input Sentinel, or an entirely new one that can't spawn naturally and can only come from this process.
Okay. And it's corrupted, yeah, okay. I wonder if you can control the mods.
The same applies to its modifiers. You generally get a mix of modifiers from the 2 input Sentinels, but sometimes they have their tiers upgraded or entirely new mods added, occasionally including ones that are exclusive to the assembly process. The end result is that you're usually getting Sentinels that are similar in function to the depleted ones you have combined, but occasionally mutate in new ways, producing results that unlock more power and possibilities. The best Sentinels in the game will come from lucky combinations.
So I don't know for sure yet, but I'm pretty sure this is fairly complex. League, it's not anything crazy like Masterminds. Not like that complex, but it sounds like it automatically sounds to me like something much more complex than Ultimatum, for example, which means something I've learned pretty recently in the League start process is you should probably completely ignore the League mechanic until you reach maps. With the exception of like early Act 1, because it seems like most League mechanics have a unique opportunity, uniquely high chance of giving you leveling uniques early on in Act 1. But I think this time I'm really gonna heed the warning that I've given myself for about the past 2 leagues now. Kind of ignored it and tried to learn the League mechanic as I'm leveling through the acts. It definitely slows down a lot. I will probably, just looking at this already, I will probably attempt to do this and use this League mechanic just sort of in its simplest way in Act 1, and then once I get to Act 2, I'm just going to completely skip it. Unless it really is not time-consuming whatsoever, but I mean, all these UI and stuff looks like there's definitely some time-consuming aspects to it.
Of depleted Sentinels that have just the right mods. It's also possible to assemble 2 Sentinels directly into one of the many valuable unique Sentinels.
Destroyed on empowering target enemy? Oh, it's unique.
Specialized power cores exist, which influence the assembly process to greatly increase the chances of various interesting outcomes occurring. They don't guarantee anything, but are absolutely worth considering if you're trying to hit unlikely assembly results.
Too much.
You may want to
Too much
accumulate a
information.
small collection of depleted Sentinels so that you have options to assemble together. That's where the Sentinel Locker comes in. It's a free object that you can place in your hideout that allows you to store stacks of each of the Sentinel currency items, as well as a tab full of each of the 3 categories of Sentinel.
I think this
You can
player
also
needs
store
to add
Sentinels
another
in
aura.
regular stash tabs,
to
and
their
they can be
build.
freely traded with other players.
I
The
recommend
Sentinel Locker's
Okay, that looks
affinity
a
for
little better.
Sentinels will also work with regular stash tabs while this league is active. As I hinted at before, you can find or create unique Sentinels. These have powerful static properties, but because they cannot be combined with other Sentinels, there's no way to recharge them once they become depleted. They are essentially limited use items with powerful effects. Let's look at a few examples.
Okay.
First off, we have the Basilisk. This is a Pandemonium Sentinel that augments its wide area of effect blast with a petrification effect. Any monsters caught in the blast are turned to stone. Rather than being primarily useful for raising the risk and reward of combat like other Sentinels, this one is incredibly useful as an emergency button in combat. By activating the Basilisk, you can freeze most of the monsters around you in place, letting you take control of dangerous
Again, reminds me of World of
situations.
Warcraft.
This unique Sentinel, the
Stranglethorn
Hollow-Eyed Skull, is basically a headhunter in Sentinel form.
What?
There are also a set of unique Sentinels that are designed to empower specific named Atlas map bosses.
Wait, what?
If you activate one
Headhunter.
of these Sentinels
Headhunter, let me see
really
that
useful
again.
for raising the risk and reward of combat like other Sentinels, this one is incredibly useful as
Hold
an
on a
emergency
second.
button in combat. By activating the Basilisk, you can freeze most of the monsters around you in place, letting you take control of dangerous situations. This unique Sentinel, the Hollow-Eyed Skull, is basically a headhunter in Sentinel form.
Oh my god.
There are also a set of unique Sentinels that are
Big brain
designed to empower
strategy.
specific
Use that Sentinel combined with Headhunter. And Inspired Learnings.
named Atlas map bosses. If you activate one of these Sentinels while fighting that boss, it empowers the boss into an extremely dangerous version that is very, very rewarding if you can defeat it. The highly empowered boss fight is further scaled by whatever mods are on the map that contain it, so you'll want to be pretty careful with what mods you
Headhunter
choose
got
to use.
annihilated. What?
On the other hand, its
God.
rewards are scaled by
I mean, my
reward
stomach
bonuses
stinks
on
like
that
that.
map, so
I
if you're
haven't
able
seen
to
the patch
defeat
notes
one of
yet.
these bosses in a juiced map, you will certainly be greatly rewarded. These highly empowered map bosses are the best source of recombinators, a new type of endgame currency item that can be found.
Now, I did just say Headhunter is like way too powerful. It deserves to get like nerfed. So I honestly wouldn't even mind. In fact, I would prefer if it only had like 50% of its potency. but if they annihilated it, like you said, well that scares me a little bit.
Found in the Sentinel League.
Or you being
Recombinators
hyperbolic.
allow you to apply the Sentinel assembly process to 2 pieces of equipment of the same item class, combining them together in unpredictable ways. This process can also rarely imbue your items with exclusive modifiers that don't normally spawn on that type of item. While the recombination process involves significant risks, you could combine the best parts of 2 rare items together, maybe getting a lucky exclusive mod spawn, and end up with one of the best weapons, armor pieces, or jewelry in Path of Exile. Sentinels can be deployed while engaging in other League content, so you can
Hold on
spawn
a second, I
and
wanna
end
read
up with
that.
one of
With combination of their properties. Like exact combination of their properties? I mean, if they both have 6 stats, it can't put 12 stats on there, obviously. Kind of almost sounds like a Harvest Reforge rare, same mods more likely, or something. A little bit like
one of
that.
the best weapons, armor pieces, or jewelry in Path of Exile. Sentinels can be deployed while engaging in other League content, so you can juice the risk and reward to quite crazy levels. For example, you could enter a Mirror of Delirium, trigger a breach, and deploy your Sentinel at the same time, causing the monsters to have 3 significant modifiers to both their difficulty and rewards. There are only a few specific areas that Sentinels can't be deployed in, mostly for technical reasons, and those are unique maps, Pinnacle Atlas bosses, and the Simulacrum.
That still leaves a lot of places. What about like
So that's Sentinel in
invitations?
a nutshell. It's a combat league that gives you heaps of control over the exact risk and reward you encounter. It stacks with other
Okay.
combat-enhancing
I
league
definitely understand
mechanics,
the concept,
juices your
don't understand
endgame bosses
exactly
beyond
the
any kind of reasonable difficulty,
methodology.
lets you play with temporary headhunters, and might even let a few players assemble some pretty insane rare items if they're lucky. We're very much
Rock
looking forward to
2.0.
seeing your stories after you've had a chance to play with it next week.
Probably not something I really mess with, to be honest.
In addition
know
to the
how good
Sentinel
rare
Challenge
items
League,
are,
this
yeah.
expansion further improves
Generic
on the new
rare
endgame
items.
introduced in Siege of the Atlas, its Atlas-wide passive tree and pinnacle boss fights.
Okay.
The new endgame was designed to give you ultimate control over what kind of content you want
Much
to play
appreciated.
and how difficult and rewarding you want it to be.
99.9%
With the
of people
Sentinel
love
expansion, we are doubling down on what makes this new endgame the best one that Path of Exile has ever had. This expansion introduces 20 powerful Keystone passives to the Atlas tree. As you know from the regular passive skill tree, Keystone passives are usually dramatic and build-changing, with both upsides and potential downsides. Each Keystone
I
can
even use
completely
is point
change the
blank.
way you play Path of Exile's
And it's kind of a
endgame.
meh.
We have designed Keystone passives for many different playstyles and situations. The second big change is that we have introduced these clusters of passives that grant you even more control over what endgame content you encounter. As you know, you can encounter many different types of past league content randomly within maps. These new passives
Secular
allow
focus,
you to
I'll
prevent
definitely-
content you don't enjoy
definitely be
from
taking
appearing
that.
randomly, while simultaneously
Screw the
causing
ritual.
other content to spawn at a higher rate. Aside from the obvious convenience of only encountering the past league mechanics that you choose, the system is great for target farming specific content that you have juiced on
Great.
your Atlas tree.
That does constitute doubling down on
Thirdly,
choose your
we
own
have created
endgame.
incredibly difficult and rewarding Uber versions of 7 pinnacle boss fights, which can be accessed via 6 new Keystone passives. These fights are designed to challenge the
That's actually
absolute
pretty
best part of
wild because, like, it said sacrifice one mechanic that can't spawn for 2% additional for. Did it say for each other? For every other mechanic?
We have created
Is that what it said?
accessed via 6 new Keystone passives. Suffice to say, they are and rewarding Uber versions of.
Hold on. What? Am I tripping? Where was it? Oh, here we go. Your maps have 2% chance to contain other extra content. Now, if that means 2% chance to contain all other, like every single, because everything has apparently now, as I understand it, although I don't necessarily believe it, everything supposedly has an 8% chance to spawn by default. So you have an 8% chance to spawn Domination, you have an 8% chance to spawn Ambush, you have an 8% chance to spawn Delirium Mirror. That's how I understand it. It would seem that some have higher chance, though, by default. But, like, thinking about Delirium Mirror, for example, wow, like, you're increasing your Delirium Mirror chance by 2%, as well as your Legion spawn chance by 2%, Breach chance by 2%, just picking up one of these? Because if that's how that works, then that's outstanding.
Significantly more likely that your favored maps will drop.
Okay, here we go.
The singular focus keystone makes it significantly more likely that your favored maps will drop. If a map drops that is not one of your favored maps, it will be converted into a random currency item. This means that you'll exclusively see your favored maps, and outside of that, more currency.
Okay.
This is the realization of the I only want to play one map dream that some players have. It also helps players who are over-sustaining maps and would rather just get extra currency items.
Okay.
The
Sounds
Stream
good.
of Consciousness keystone
How
prevents
many
you from
keystones
modifying
can you
your
get,
maps with
though?
fragments or scarabs.
Probably can't
That means
get
that
as
when
many
extra
as you want.
content is being rolled for your maps,
Maybe you can.
each of the base chances is 50% higher. This is really useful for players who don't want to have to
50%
think
chance
about
to
juicing their
contain
maps
extra.
and would instead prefer to get
Oh,
a
50%
constant
more base,
moderate
oh,
bonus
okay.
instead.
That's not that big of a deal. So that would be essentially
The following
4%.
two keystones are for very advanced
Greater
players who have completed their Atlas trees and want to get a very
Well,
specific
that's
outcome
actually
with all of
incredible
their skill
for
points.
Alk and Go, though. I mean, my God, that's actually really good for Alk and Go now that I think about it. So that just automatically gives you a 12% chance for everything to spawn, I guess, instead of 8%. And costs no scarabs.
The Wandering Path keystone
Damn.
increases the effect of small passives on your Atlas skill tree and disables all notable passives.
Man, I missed that one. Let's see what that,
Advanced players who have completed their Atlas tree
notable, okay, nothing. I don't think I would take that.
and want to get a very specific outcome with all of their skill
I don't
points.
think I would take that.
The Wandering Path keystone increases the effect of small passives on your Atlas skill tree and disables all notable passives.
That sounds really
The
like
Grand
a really
Design
bad idea. For
keystone
anyone who's
increases the
juicing
monster
stuff, I
pack
mean,
size.
that would make. That means you can't choose Flash Breach. You can't choose targeting Legion, Mariketh emblems, Chayula. You can't choose all kinds of stuff. Although that would be what, 3%? No, that would be a 4% increased effect of modifiers in non-unique maps instead of 2%. That's like 12 of those points or something. Yeah, but well, hold on. You know, actually, something like Strongbox doesn't get. You would lose operative Strongbox, for example, but you'd lose double currency, double divination cards. You would lose one Strongbox. Huh. You would gain a lot of extra passives. I don't know. Maybe there's a possibility. That would be good. Second here.
Completed their Atlas trees and want to get a very specific outcome with all of their skill points. The Wandering Path keystone increases the effect of small passives on your Atlas skill tree and disables all notable passives.
How about the reverse? Can we have the
Grand
reverse?
Design keystone increases the monster pack size in each of your maps by an amount proportional to the number of notable passives you have allocated.
Wait,
however, the trade-off is that small passives have no effect.
That was the reverse.
Keystone increases the monster pack size.
Sort of. Small expensive map. Have 1% increased pack size per allocated number. Oh my god, that sounds incredible. What if you choose both and nothing grants anything? Wow. Pack size is everything, man. It's everything. Screw the quantity wheel. I don't care about that. Give me 1% pack size. Wow. And you have weird stuff like chance to spawn an abyss is based on 50% of your pack size or something like that too. My brain is just right now. Yep, I'm definitely buying. I definitely just bought my ticket to the hype train now.
Size in each of your maps by an amount proportional to the number of notable passives you have allocated. However, the trade-off is that small passives have no effect. These two keystones are very good for specializing into maximizing pack size and quantity at the expense of specific league content, which is great for general Magic Find builds or divination card farmers. The Twist of Fate keystone changes the behavior of corrupted rare maps in unpredictable ways. Upon entering a map, you may be sent to an alternative map of the same tier with randomized mod.
Your corrupted rare maps and any Atlas missions, map craft options, and scarabs apply to them are modified unpredictably. Well, that would be very bad for divination card targeting, but
modifiers. All of the master missions, scarabs, and Kirit crafts applied to the map will also be randomized. This process will not pick an outcome that was already on the map, so it always shifts it to a new property that you didn't have before. This means that you can play all of the scarabs, master missions, and maps that you enjoy, and any leftover ones can be randomized to new outcomes, which are guaranteed to not be the ones you started with. This may have some interesting economic consequences as well, with players feeding bad scarabs or maps into the Twist of Fate lottery.
Wait a minute.
The wellspring of creation and dance.
Wait.
Economic consequences as well, with players to not be the one, and any leftover ones can be randomized to new outcomes, which are guaranteed to not.
2 + 2 equals core map red with new graphic means Sentinel has core in the map pool.
Be the ones you started with. This may have some interesting economic consequences as well, with players feeding bad scarabs or maps into the Twist of Fate lottery.
Well, I might have to open up the Blight can again.
The Wellspring of Creation and Dance of Destruction keystones change the ratios of monster life and damage in maps on the Atlas, so that they are more dangerous and less tanky, or vice versa. These two keystones are designed to be remedial, allowing players with an abundance of offense or defense to normalize themselves so that they can handle the content better.
Why don't you just call it?
We are waiting for.
They should just call it the soft core keystone and the hardcore keystone.
Weapon upgrade or can't fix your resistances, then you could allocate one of these keystones to temporarily make things easier before unallocating it later when your build is complete. 6 new keystones create uber versions of Path of Exile's pinnacle boss fights. Venarius, Cyrus, the Maven, the Searing Exarch, the Eater of Worlds, and the Shaper and Uber Elder, who I guess is now called the Uber Elder. Allocating one of these keystones on your Atlas passive tree ramps up the corresponding boss fights so that it is extremely difficult. Like,
honestly,
really hard. Harder than saying...
I'm really not happy that Maven was so unrewarding last season because it meant for me, again, with Path of Exile economy and the way it all trickles down and trickles up or whatever, it's all interconnected in this giant web of an economy. Unlike seasons gone past, elevated sextants were incredibly short in supply because nobody was farming Maven. So the quality, or at the very least the options of mega juicing maps was much lower than usual.
Goodbye to Zanahad. Only allocate these keystones if your character is extremely powerful and you know you can handle the challenge.
So I'm hoping
in
Maven
general,
is actually
the encounter's
very
rules
lucrative
are modified to be
the
far more
market's
punitive and
flooded
difficult.
with elevated
In
sextants.
return, though, you can earn some
That would
very
be nice.
enticing rewards. Each of the Uber fights has an additional high chance reward and a chance of getting a very, very rare chase reward. For example, the Uber Maven guarantees an elevated sextant if you're able to complete the encounter. Very rarely, though, you may be able to earn an awakened exceptional support gem as well, such as Empower, Enlighten, or Enhance.
What? What?
These keystones
What is the difference between Enlightened Support and Awakened Enlightened Support? Perhaps it's essentially an extra level? So it's kind of like a level 5 Enlightened Support, probably?
These keystones unlock crazy battles that will challenge our most aspiring players who are deep in Path of Exile's endgame. They add a new level of difficulty for those who want to push their builds even farther than they ever have before. The keystones we have shown you so far are designed around many different types of endgame players. Some glass cannon players struggle with defenses but have no problem with offense. Some players want to just play one map. Some players want the difficulty to be ramped up and to receive rewards commensurate with this added challenge. The keystones also let you identify a specific reward, type of content, or playstyle and know exactly how you can get the most out of it. There are a number of other new keystones that we'll reveal before release. Like the ones we have shown you today, these keystones require you to consider your endgame plan in an entirely new light. We're very interested to see what strategies you will use to try to conquer the new Uber Pinnacle bosses. Before we get into the new unique items, there are a few other...
For a second, I thought when he was talking about keystones, I thought he was talking about actual, like, passive skilled keystones. But I guess this is all about the Atlas. All Atlas keystones. So that's a giant reveal for this, is the addition of Atlas passive keystones.
Other endgame Atlas changes that we should cover. We are removing Vinctar's Square and Doryani's Machinarium from the
Fine by me.
Atlas of Worlds because they are not natural map drops. You can still get and play these maps, of course, but they aren't counted for your overall Atlas completion anymore.
Okay, a lot of people
Their Atlas passive points have been moved to rewards for defeating the Infinite Hunger and the Black Star. We have rebalanced influence altars and maps.
Okay.
They now feel a lot different than they did in the form they were introduced in Siege of the Atlas.
Please tell me Cemetery is on this map pool. Please tell me it's on this map pool.
Their downsides now feel more impactful, and they have more diversity of rewards, including new rewards. The intention is to fulfill the original design goal of having an ultimatum-like choice about whether you want to accept additional challenge for additional reward. We've added better Atlas tree support for them, including 2 keystones that can affect them.
3.4% chance?
We've also rebalanced the drop weightings of the new Pinnacle Atlas bosses, changing the relative drop weightings of their unique rewards and making them more likely to drop Eldritch currency.
Oh shit! I just hit the wrong thing. Oops.
Players who are deep in Path of Exile's endgame. Turn though, you can earn some very enticing rewards. Each of the Uber fights has an additional high chance reward and a chance of getting a very, very rare chase reward. For example, Elder and Shaper Scarabs are a diversity of rewards, including new rewards.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna make that the thumbnail. My reaction to that. It is. Cemetery is still on there. Oh my god, I can't believe it. Cemetery gone? Well, you guys are contradicting each other.
Rewards. The intention is to fulfill the original design goal of having an ultimatum-like choice about whether you want to accept additional challenge for additional reward. We've added better Atlas tree support for them, including 2 keystones that can affect them. We've also rebalanced the drop weightings of the new Pinnacle Atlas bosses, changing the relative drop weightings of their unique rewards and making them more likely to drop Eldritch currency. Currently, in Siege of the Atlas, Elder and Shaper Scarabs are basically worthless because their influence is worse than the free influence you can get from the Ether of Worlds and the Searing Exile.
Brilliant synopsis.
In Sentinel, you can now apply multiple types of influence to one map, so you could have Ether of Worlds influence alongside a Shaper
I feel like they're so worthless that they almost don't even appear on my loot filter. If I drop the winged Shaper Scarab, it's like doesn't even show up
on a Conqueror map. Together, these 3 influences combined have a very large effect on that map, and this will make Elder and Shaper Scarabs significantly more desirable. The Scarabs very large effect on that. 3, so you could have Ether of Worlds influence alongside a Shaper or Elder Scarab on a Conqueror map. Together, these 3 influences combined have a very large effect.
I'm low-key kind of... yeah, that's obviously cool and fun. I'm low-key a little bit feeling kind of about that, because what that means is one thing I really liked about Arch Nemesis is the sort of high-end map preparation was super easy to get. You could just roll your own maps. Now, if you want to do, the highest end farming or juicing, you're going to have to buy Conquer maps. That's what this means, basically. So, I mean, that's fine, I guess. It is what it is. I have a feeling I probably won't run Conquer maps all that much, though.
On that map, and this will make
because it's just going to be so annoying. I will do it certainly if I do some sort of like crazy, insane juicing.
Elder and Shaper Scarabs significantly more desirable.
The Scarab change is great. That's great.
The start point of encountering Shaper, Elder, or Conqueror influence and influence items has been raised to level 81 areas. We've also fixed an issue that was causing some players to skip playing most of the contents of maps. On the lower half of the Atlas passive tree, there were a lot of small skills that granted a 2% chance for the map boss to drop an additional map. This meant that it was possible to sustain maps by rushing to those bosses and ignoring every other monster in the map.
There's nothing wrong with
We've retained the overall bonus, but have changed it so the map drops from a random monster within the map rather than the boss.
Get rolled.
We're also addressing an issue with the way that you acquire Maven boss fight invitations. Currently, it's possible that you get hit with a bad streak of RNG and haven't found an invitation by the time you have enough bosses witnessed. You can now purchase these invitations from Kirak for a moderate price if you need to.
That's nice. Nice convenience, I guess. Could never sell those things anyway.
At the launch of the Siege of the Atlas expansion, we hosted a competition that saw players racing to be the first to kill Path of Exile's pinnacle bosses in hardcore solo self-found mode. The main prize for doing so was the ability to collaborate with us on the design of a unique item that would drop from a boss in Path of Exile's endgame. 5 of these uniques have been designed so far and will be featured in this expansion. The 6th one will be released once the winner has time to design it, very likely in 3.19. Call of the Void is a new cold-themed ring that was designed by Lighty and will drop from the Uber Elder. It causes all damage to chill and causes chilled enemies to shatter on death, as though they were frozen. On top of this, chilled enemies deal less damage back to you based on the magnitude of the chill affecting them. The only drawback is that all incoming damage also chills you, but there are many ways to mitigate this, and in some cases it's beneficial to builds that utilize self-chill as part of some crazy combo. This ring is useful for a wide variety of different endgame builds.
Okay.
Echoes of Creation is a new unique helmet, also designed by Lighty, which will drop from the Shaper.
But I'm going to wear the gold.
It's designed for builds that use Warcries and grants an extra use before cooldown to Warcry skills that are socketed in the helmet. It also grants more damage to exerted attacks based on the number of war cries affecting them, but causes you to take damage when you use these attacks.
Cool graphic.
The self-damage number looks really scary, but it can be mitigated by various mechanics such as armor, endurance charges, and life recovery. This powerful niche helmet is ideal for characters that try to use as many war cries as they can.
The most niche chase uniques ever.
The third lighter unique being introduced is the Burden of Truth, a unique belt which will drop from Cyrus.
It's gotta be good to compete with.
Broadly speaking, this belt encourages you to have healthy energy shield and life pulse and helps you to achieve this by granting you additional energy shield based on a percentage of your maximum life value. The belt both lets some portion of chaos damage hit your energy shield, but also causes some non-chaos damage to bypass your energy shield like it was chaos damage. This is often an upside because splitting damage over both life and energy shield lets you recover both simultaneously. The Supreme Decadence keystone that this belt grants, which is previously restricted to timeless jewels, causes your life flasks to apply to both your life and energy shield at a reduced rate. Overall, this belt is extremely powerful for characters who can build to have a decent energy shield pool while also using life flasks appropriately. The fourth new item that we're featuring today was created by Waggle. It's an amulet called the Eternal Struggle, which will drop from either the Infinite Hunger or the Black Star. The amulet has a pair of Eldritch mods, and the one that is dominant will be based on which of the bosses dropped it. The dominant mod also controls whether the amulet gives a Malignant Madness or Culling Strike bonus. You'll need to work out which of the two bosses to farm based on which half of the amulet you want to activate.
Kill enemies that have 15%.
The final unique we're showcasing today was designed by Steel Mage. It's a unique jewel that drops from the Maven. The jewel refers to a random keystone on your passive skill tree and enables you to be able to allocate passives within a radius around that keystone without them being connected to the rest of the tree. While the keystone itself cannot be allocated, this jewel allows you to jump across great distances on the passive tree in a very skill point efficient way.
That's so cool. Somebody was actually talking about that earlier in the league. They were talking about it was not this exactly, but an item that would maybe sort of teleport your passive tree, just kind of teleport to the opposite side of the map or something to sort of create like a tethered link or something like that. Kind of like Sirius's drop, but instead of having to instead of being a ring, where you have to allocate points to that spot. Instead, it just kind of, again, teleports you to another spot on the map, which is exactly what this does. That's actually really crazy. And I look forward to theory crafting some things for that, for sure. You could go way off the deep end on mana reservation for this. You could get like the mana reservation nodes, maybe, something like that. All kinds of stuff. Okay.
In addition to these uniques that have come from the boss kill competition, we have added new unique items to the Uber Pinnacle boss fights that can be accessed through some of the new Keystone passives. These include a different variation of Thread of Hope that can drop from Uber Cyrus, a new unique jewel which can drop from the Uber Shaper, and special for...
What was that? Sounds like Supreme Ego or something.
Forbidden Flame and Forbidden Flesh jewels, which can roll exclusive Ascendancy notable passives that are not available anywhere else in the game. Jewels, which can roll that can be accessed through some of the new Keystone passives. These include a different variation of Thread of Hope that can drop from Uber Cyrus, a new unique jewel which can drop from the Uber Shaper, and special Forbidden Flame and Forbidden Flesh jewels, which can roll exclusive Ascendancy notable passives that are not available anywhere else in the game.
So it's still within your own class, but it's brand new ascendancies that you cannot acquire anywhere else. Whoa. I bet those are overpowered as hell. At least for the first time.
You'll notice that our last endgame expansion was just 3 months ago, and we're already extending the endgame even further. This is our plan for every expansion leading up to the release of Path of Exile 2. Rather than having a much bigger annual expansion, we plan to add as many endgame improvements into each quarterly expansion as we can, alongside its new challenge league, so that there are new challenges to overcome every time you come back to Path of Exile. One of the subtle but important aspects of our plan is to keep adding powerful new chase rewards to Path of Exile's endgame, so that there are always new reasons to complete aspirational content. The boss kill competitions are great because they not only create these rewards, but also immortalize the achievements of some of Path of Exile's best players. we're going to run another boss kill competition at the launch of Sentinel. This time, players will have to defeat the Uber versions of boss fights that are unlocked by the special Keystone passives. We'll post full information in the lead up to release.
Okay, it's not really
We're
something
going to try
I do.
something new with
Cool.
character balance in this expansion. We're intentionally making no changes to character power. That means no nerfs, no buffs, nothing. Every single build and build guide made for Siege of the Atlas will work exactly the same in Sentinel. You can start planning
That is very much not the Chris way. What are you doing? I thought you were supposed to change the meta every league. Well, Tornado Shot fizzed element conversion again, I guess.
your league starter right now, with full confidence about exactly how it's going to play. However, build exploration is still required in 3.18. Sentinel introduces many difficult challenges, both in the Challenge League itself and in the endgame.
Required if your build's
And you're
not
going to have to
powerful
work out a
enough,
plan
is
to
what you
create
mean.
characters that are able to handle this content. But at this release, you can hit the ground running, knowing with confidence which builds are a good starting point for you. We don't intend to do this character balance
I feel
freeze
like he's
every
just
release.
dressing that
For
up.
example, 3.19 definitely contains planned changes to character balance.
Okay.
Even though there are no character balance changes in 3.18 though, we have still made some changes to actual game content.
Oh,
For
the
example,
monsters!
let's talk
The monsters, of course! Of course, the monsters are like 3 times beefier and 10 times more damage and have all kinds of brand new abilities. But no, there were no nerfs. No nerfs whatsoever.
monster modifiers.
Ha!
Magic and rare monsters in Path of Exile get a lot of their power from their modifiers. We came up with the majority of the monster mods
Yes,
over
okay,
a decade
so
ago.
I just
and
heard from the chat that Headhunter has been indirectly nerfed because I guess the monster modifiers
They
are...
substantially added to them with the introduction of the Nemesis and Bloodlines leagues in 2013 and 2014.
Lay it on me.
These mods are unfortunately showing their age. Many of them are unimpactful, and it's quite hard to quickly read their descriptions in the heat of combat. What we need is a new set of mods that are highly impactful in combat, keyworded
That
with
doesn't
1 to
sound
2
like a
colored
nerf
words
pad.
that are easy to read at a glance, and capable of producing dangerous combinations. This is exactly what we designed the Arch Nemesis mods to be, a replacement for the core monster mod pool. From 3.18 onwards, all previous monster mods have been replaced by Arch Nemesis mods.
Okay.
No other
Well,
part
I mean, one good thing about that is that now we know what the mods are. So long as there is a mod that increases my movement speed, I don't care. Everything else is fine, whatever. Just give me a mod that increases my action speed or movement speed, and yeah, I'm good.
of the Arch Nemesis League has been retained, so there's no
And
more
Headhunter's
inventory
still
or
best
recipe
for-
management.
There's no question.
Magic monsters have 1 Arch Nemesis mod, shared across their pack, and rare monsters typically have 2
What this might mean, though, is that maybe, I don't know if there's an Arch Nemesis mod that has a physical, increases extra elemental damage, so specifically going physical to element conversion may not have hyper-scaling effects with Headhunter now.
However, it's possible to encounter rare monsters with 3 or even 4 Arch Nemesis mods on them. Combinations of multiple synergistic mods can create quite interesting situations in combat.
Look how fast
For
that
example,
mod's
if you
attacking.
encounter a monster with both
I want
Storm
it.
Strider and Ice Prison, the Ice Prison may block you off so that you are more likely to run into the lightning mirages from the Storm Strider mod. We've done a balance pass over the Arch Nemesis mods before making them core. Some have certainly had their power reduced, particularly when applied to magic monsters. We have also changed how monster experience and drops are calculated, so it's now far more about
That right there is a sort of attack speed, movement speed buff. That's like literally the same thing. Literally the same animation that it was before.
difficulty of the mods than about the proportional size of the monster.
You can see that skeletal archers attacking
Various
very fast.
Nemesis
Poor
and Bloodlines
skeletal archers.
modifiers that were not represented in the Arch Nemesis mod pool have been added in different ways. Path of Exile's challenge system has remained the same for the last 21 leagues. For
I mean, just on its face, it doesn't look like Headhunter got nerfed. I don't know.
Sentinel, we had a look at whether there were any easy ways we could update it based on what we have learned over the last 6 years. Our plan is to retain the model of 40 challenges with rewards that unlock as you progress through them, but with a goal of providing substantially more challenge to endgame players and substantially more
I
rewards to go with it, of course.
don't even play for challenges.
In order to achieve this, we've
I will
crunched down
someday,
the
maybe,
easier
but
challenges
now.
so that the first reward unlocks after only 6 and the second at 12. These are equivalent in difficulty to 12 and 24 challenges from the old system, respectively. This change gives us a lot more space to ramp up to some incredibly difficult challenges towards the end, which will take a lot of time and skill to complete. There are now 10 different rewards you can unlock, which comprise 2 complete armor sets, each with a pair of wings. But be warned, the challenges you must complete are much harder than any that we have ever set you before.
Okay, that's good. Actually, like, big time
We've been
rewards.
experimenting with support for game controllers on the PC version of Path of Exile. During the Arch Nemesis League, we began a beta for controller support and have been making improvements based on your suggestions and feedback. We're pleased to announce that controller support on PC will officially launch alongside the Sentinel expansion. This also means that Path of Exile is now fully playable on the Steam Deck for those of you who are lucky enough to have one so far. Alongside finishing controller support for PC, we've also done a push on various small quality of life features in this expansion, which we'll reveal over the coming days. An example is that you can now choose whether your hideout portals can be accessed by one of 4 options: everyone, your friends, your guild members, or no one. We have also improved how favored maps are selected on the Atlas. Rather than having to click on the map on the Atlas for every slot, you can instead click on one of your existing favored maps to quickly copy it to the new slot. This makes it a lot faster to favor many instances of the same map at once. There are plenty more small QOL features crammed into Sentinel, and we'll cover these over the week leading up to release. Early in the Arch Nemesis League, we debuted Kirik's Vault Pass.
Oh god,
Purchasing
the most
this pass grants you
controversial
access to Kirik's
thing in the
Vault,
entire
where you can claim
league.
exclusive unique item skins as you complete map bonus objectives in the Atlas endgame. The
And
Vault
we're
Pass for the
introducing
Arch
Kirik's
Nemesis
Vault
League is
Pass
only available for a few more
3.0.
days and will leave the store forever when this league ends.
No?
There's no penalty for purchasing the pass late in the league after you've wrapped up your map completion. So if you're
But
pleased
if
with where
you
you got
don't
to in Arch
pass-
Nemesis and want to
buy
lock
it
in
in
your
time-
unique skins, it's not too late to buy your pass now.
Buy it now.
Thank you to
Now.
everyone who unlocked Kirik's Vault. We had a lot of fun putting it together.
And we're
trying
gonna
to
do
think
it
of fun
again.
ways that unique item skins can interact with gameplay in a visual way. The purchases directly fund development of both Path of Exile 1
I find it
and
funny how
2.
controversial this thing was.
A brand new Vault Pass will launch alongside the Sentinel League. Like the previous one, there are 8 exclusive unique item skins that can be unlocked as you complete map bonus objectives.
Take
We'll
that,
post full
Reddit.
details on these new rewards closer to launch. To buy
Tears,
either the Arch
so
Nemesis
many
Pass now,
tears
before it leaves the
flowing
store
right now,
forever,
I can
or the Sentinel
feel
one
it.
when the expansion launches, go to pathofexile.com/vault.
That's a whole website.
Alongside today's livestream, we're launching 2
URL
new
too.
series of supporter packs, the Arcanist and Reaper packs. Each
I
tier
did take a
contains the
glance at
pack's
these,
full face
supporter
value
packs.
in
They look
points,
cool.
plus several exclusive microtransactions. These packs are only available during the
Nice to see Reaper
Sentinel
get a little
League
bit
and will
of
leave
love,
the
even
store
though
forever
it's
in
not
3
getting love
months.
and respect balance. It's getting love
Every
at least in respect
microtransaction you're about to
MTX.
see is entirely cosmetic and does not
As
affect
if
your
it
character's
needed
progression
MTX
or
stuff. It's
power.
already one of the coolest abilities.
The Arcanist
coolest
pack series
looking
contains
abilities in
7
the game.
exclusive microtransactions. The Cloak of Elements indicates the power of your fire, cold, and lightning resistances on your back. When a resistance is capped, the effect is extra strong. While wearing the Ring of the Black Star, your level up effect looks like this. In the Timekeeper's hideout, you can use the Chronosphere to change the time of day from dawn to noon to dusk to night.
Only in that hideout, though. That's cool. I'm all about, MTX love. That's great.
With Chevron's tome on your belt, identifying items will cause exploding books to appear nearby.
Cool.
The Mage Bloom map device
about it.
blossoms with greater intensity as you open higher
I still don't have a
maps.
portal effect. I can't. I'm actually finally starting to dabble in MTX stuff now that I have a new computer and everything seems to be.
With the
handling it
soul-stunning
just fine.
weapon effect attached to your weapon, any attacks that stun will
still
cause
don't
your
have a portal
enemies to have an
effect I like,
out-of-body
though.
experience.
I got that
Drinking from the
worm board.
searing Quicksilver flask causes an
MTX.
explosion and sets your character on fire. The Reaper Pack series also has 7 exclusive cosmetic microtransactions. The Soul Harvester's cloak's power is based on the number of enemies your character has
That is
killed.
a cool-looking cloak.
With the Belt of the Hive Queen equipped, flasks you use will cause blood-sucking insects to appear all over your character. The Ghostlit Graveyard is a
So, pretty sure I trigger a flask on average like once every microsecond. I don't know when I'm mapping. So I would just look like an abomination of bugs.
hideout where
on
you
my
can
character.
control the color of
You
its
wouldn't even see my
torches.
character.
It also comes with 6 exclusive hideout
It
decorations.
looked like a beehive.
Medidrone will follow you around and use a healing beam on you whenever you're gaining life. Thanks, Medidrone. The Underworld portal opens a gateway to Hell. Its effect
Portal,
upgrades in Part
but,
2 and again in maps, where it indicates what tier of map you're playing.
Not my flavor.
While wearing the Ring of the Exorcist, any spells you cast will exorcise the ghosts of your enemies if you crit. While using the Grim Reaper apparition, the Reaper will appear and cull any unique or rare enemies you slay. As I mentioned before, these packs are exclusive to the Sentinel
so
League and will leave the store in 3 months. They're available right now at pathofexile.com/purchase, and they directly fund the ongoing development of Path of Exile 2 and Path of Exile 1 expansions like Sentinel. We greatly appreciate your support.
So lightly.
Thanks for joining us and checking out today's reveals. We can't wait to see you in Rayclast on May 13th.
Okay, I'm not going to...
We'll begin the Q&A in a few moments, so please get your questions ready in chat.
I'm not going to react to the Q&A unless there's some kind of crazy demand for it, but I am now going to react to the patch notes. So we're going to go in. I know this video is incredibly long. Sorry about that, but let's just move right in to the patch notes. Okay, anything interesting in chat going on? Talking about MTXs and stuff. Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing what anything more about Headhunter. You know, the nice thing about one of the things that was really frustrating about Headhunter buffs is it seemed like there was no accurate catalog of all possible core Nemesis modifiers in the game. So, like, we didn't really have the fullest understanding about what kind of buffs were stolen with the Headhunter. But given that it's completely changed the new Arch Nemesis modifiers, there probably is. I haven't checked this yet. There probably is an actual like catalog of a complete list of Arch Nemesis modifiers somewhere in the internet, and therefore we'll know exactly what kind of buffs will be stolen. I hope. Okay, Sentinel League channel, a major new content and features. Okay, talking about stuff here. I'm not gonna really read a whole lot on the Sentinel stuff because I have to actually like digest it. I can't do that in a React video, really. So we're just kind of glaze over the Sentinel stuff here. But here, let me look at this here. Nothing about power core. Weapon I want to say discombobulator. I thought I was going to say recombobulator, but no, recombinator. Now that's just a terrible attempt at making a new word. Recombinator. What? Okay. Yeah, that's cool. Like I said, this right here, it sounds a lot like, it reminds me a lot of Harvest Reforged. Same modifiers, more likely, except you're sacrificing 2 items that, so I don't know, maybe that means you can have like, you could target 3 modifiers on one and then target 3 modifiers on another, and maybe you can kind of slam it together and probably get terrible tiers, but maybe there's a high chance of getting 6 modifiers that you really want. That would actually be really cool if that works that way. I wonder if Headhunter won't be pigeonholed into Fizz conversion. Yeah, that's a big thing I'm wondering too about the Arch Nemesis modifiers. Added 20 Atlas. Yeah, 20 Atlas Keystone Pack. I can't wait to look at all those. I'm definitely going to read through all of those and figure those out. Another huge reveal in there was Awakened support gems. Awakened Empower, Enhance, and Enlighten. I don't know what those do yet. We're going to find out in a moment. None of the uniques look... Actually, did he go over all the uniques? I don't know. Of course, we just the other day got a reveal on the Divination card. They actually look pretty cool, interesting. Apothecary is apparently a Mage Blood Divination card. Everyone's going to be hunting for it. We're going to wonder which map it drops from, or if it's a global drop or what. Ever here. Or a stacked deck only drop. It's probably more likely. Added an audio cue. Okay. I always use when full on flash charges anyway. Enchant. these generic, this stuff means nothing to me. I don't know why they. Okay. Okay, there it is. This is kind of the big contention right now. Arch Nemesis modifiers. So one of the first things I'm going to do when I turn off this video is I'm going to try to find a list of all Arch Nemesis modifiers. In fact, if anybody in the chat has a link to that, that would be great. Feel free to post it. Rare monsters will be found with 2. Okay. Yeah, so they're really streamlining the difficulty here. Magic monsters have an Arch Nemesis modifier? Does that mean Headhunter works on magic monsters too? Dude, if that... No way. No, I mean, it says, literally says in the text, rare monsters, I think. Okay, this doesn't really mean anything significant. Arch Nemesis modifiers are able to be gained by characters through sources such as Headhunter-inspired learning, though you are only able to have 1 instance of each modifier at a given time. There it is. Okay, that is actually a pretty huge nerf. Yeah. Now, I had mentioned with Headhunter that I think it deserved to be scaled down in some way. I had suggested maybe it works the same way, but you only get 50% of the effects. I suggested maybe only half the time, so instead of 20 seconds, it was 10 seconds. This is another valid way to do it, I think. In fact, as much as I personally hate seeing this for my own, for my own selfish desires, I think this is a good change for the game. Yeah. When I open my character sheet and it says I'm moving at 1200% increased movement speed, what does that mean? Well, it means I have like 10 copies of the movement speed increased Headhunter buff. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Like, no, I don't need that. Okay. Now, here's an interesting question, though. If you have Headhunter... So Headhunter is obviously nerfed with this. But Inspired Learning, I wonder if you have both on, you still get to qualify for 2 copies of each. Or if you have a Headhunter and 2 Inspired Learnings, maybe you can get up to 3 copies of each. So that would really... that would make me consider actually running Inspired Learning, even though I don't want to set up my tree that way. I mean, that would be such a significant power spike. Yeah, I don't know, like if the programming grabbed, if it selected the modifier and it was attached to the specific item like that, I wonder about that. We'll have to have some testing done for that. Can't roll Nemesis on the map then anymore, huh? I imagine I'm still going to run Headhunter, though. But maybe, I guess it could be a lot easier to farm Headhunter now if it just dropped in price by like a significant margin. Maybe I can get the Headhunter in 1 week flat. Or hell, maybe Soul Thirst will be even better. I don't know. Okay, right. Keystone passives. Okay, so here are the passive skill tree changes, new passives. Let's take a look at this here. Your maps cannot be modified by fragments. Yeah, 50%. Okay, so this sounds like a great Al can go super early on in the while you're progressing your maps. You're not choosing your maps anything yet. That sounds pretty good. Okay, and this is obviously a hardcore passive. This is a softcore passive right here. But I doubt I even take either of those. I don't know, maybe. Headhunter is now leveling unique. I mean, Headhunter is now affordable. It's always affordable. By my standards, anyway. I don't really like this. Corrupted rare maps and any Atlas missions. Map crafting options and scarabs by them modified unpredictable. I don't know. I mean, if it almost always like upscales the quality of the scarab, maybe it's worth using. But otherwise, I don't really see that. It could be fun, I guess. Notable Atlas passive skills grant nothing. 100% increased effect of small Atlas passive skills. Yeah, that doesn't sound all that good, actually. But certainly not for targeted juicing. But this one, small Atlas passive skills grant nothing. Your maps have 1% increased pack size per allocated notable Atlas passive skills. So I don't know exactly how many notable Atlas passive skills I have on mine, but I'm pretty sure the number is at least 12. No, it's more than that. Probably, hell, it might actually be like 20. So that would be like 20% increased pack size. I wonder if that overrides all the quantity and increased effect modifiers, non-unique maps. Then we'll have to do a little math on that. On second thought, this actually doesn't sound quite as insane as it initially did. Again, we'll have to do the math on it. It would indirectly make the maps easier, though. So, you know, when you run increased effect of modifiers non-unique maps, that is obviously increasing the difficulty of the map. Especially things like you only have like 70% less recovery or something like that. That one hurts a lot because it cranks it up to like 90% and less recovery. So mods like that suck. Okay, what is this? So this just means bossing drops are better. Same thing, bossing drops are better. Bossing drops are better. That's good. Bossers need a buff in some kind. I hope they did he say that you can what is it called? Do Maven witnessing on Eldritch influence maps? Can you do that now? And people were like demanding that in the forums, but I didn't hear anything about that so far. Three less common synthesis modifier. Oh, cool. The remaining 7 new Atlas Keystone passes will be revealed in the upcoming news post, 1 a day, I'm sure. Okay, great. Looking forward to it. Feed us a little morsel every day. So it's a 10% chance. Conquerors have a 30% chance to drop a Conqueror's Exalted. Map bosses have a 30%. Okay. That sounds like this actually sounds like a pretty junky change, to be honest. Especially if you like farming Cirrus for whatever reason. Wow, they're really trying to remove Cirrus from the game. It looks like. The best map bosses have. Okay. Has been moved to the bottom of the Shaper and Elder cluster in the tree. Okay, this is just some changes. You know, I picked these notables up before, like getting more Shaper maps, Elder maps, and stuff from the bosses. It seemed like they were almost bugged or just didn't work. They was just very lackluster. So I don't know, but doesn't seem very good. So I'm glad to see them changing that, perhaps. Okay, we've heard about that here. This, I seriously wonder what this means. If this means 2% chance to contain... This may just mean a 2% chance to contain one other random content, so... if that's how it is, then that's pretty lame, I think. Unless, you know, I guess it's okay, because if it only costs like 1 point, you can like make it say, okay, I don't want my maps to have ritual, I don't want it to have blight, I don't want it to have this and that and this and that, and then the only thing left is basically the things you're target farming. So for me, that would be like, for example, Breach, Legion, Strongbox, Harbinger, or something like that. That could actually be pretty nice. I guess it would cost a lot of points maybe, but it might be worth it. It almost seems like the more points you devote to it, the better it becomes. So that's cool. Okay, those are all the same there. Here we go. Eldritch Embers found have a 10% to be duplicated for each searing altar. Well, yeah, that's what it was before. Now it grants a 50% chance to spawn a singer when the influence first appears. Previously, 20% chance. Okay, so I see. So they simply buffed that side. So the Searing Exarch was inferior influence because the altars notable was just so much better on the other side. But it looks like the change from 20%, so this only applies to one time and one moment in the map when you spawn the influence. You have now a 50% chance instead of 20% chance to spawn the first altar. For Alkengo and for like quick boss mapping, that sounds like that's probably a superior choice, but for any kind of juicing or any kind of full clearing strategy, I'm pretty sure Eater of Worlds is going to be better still, unless they nerfed it, which I don't. Oh, okay, they did nerf it. Shadow of Hunger now grants 30% increased chance to find Eater of World altars in your map. Yeah, no, that's still, I'm pretty sure that's still better. Still a lot better. A way to get what you want without scarabs, yeah, maybe. Small Atlas pastors that granted influence monster packs in areas have increased pack size are now found as either monster packs influenced by Eater of World have increased. Oh, okay. So they nerfed the double dipping of the pack size on that. So that's actually bad for Conquer influence maps too. Although you can combine influences apparently. Anyway, so not a big deal. So now I mean, that actually saves me like 5 passive points in a way. Okay, so the pack size of influence monsters on the map is going to be a little smaller. A slight nerf there. People were asking about Uber version of Pinnacle boss fights. Great, good. I hope the drops are worthy. I hope they're good. I don't know, that just at a glance, none of the uniques sounded amazing to me. Certainly not as good as last season's. Did they sound good to you guys? Oh. So this is registered endgame content changes. I'm not really going to focus on that. Although this actually does say something. Oh, never mind. Okay, there is some stuff relevant to mapping here. Starting here, Eldritch altars have been rebalanced. Their downsides now feel more impactful and they now provide a wider diversity of rewards. Like chance for minions to drop divination cards. Great. I mean, they could have done anything to the downsides. They're gonna give me chance to drop divination cards. Get out of here. That is so good. That's unbelievable. I mean, this is like automatically now a divination card farming league. Like automatically they're gonna do that. I thought that was, a very intelligent move on them to not include altars that gave a divination card chance for minions to drop, because I thought in the back of my head while farming the cemetery, I'm already targeting farming divination cards. So assuming that the divination cards that drop are not global, which they might be global actually, but assuming they're map specific, I mean, to me that sounds way too overpowered as far as a currency earning potential strategy. So now we're going to get to double dip on choosing the map that has a divination card, like Cemetery, farming the Brother's Stash, already using the I suppose Divination Scarabs will not affect. I doubt it'll affect altar rewards, but you know, again, getting to double dip on the chance to get that divination card, it may mean way more brother stashes. Yeah. So this may be like a massive currency league in a way. I don't know. Scarab dropped by Slay must have a chance to be duplicated. Has been yeah, I never did like that mod. New option that causes divination card dropped by slain enemies to have a chance to be duplicated. Oh my god, that's as if Strongbox duplicated divination cards wasn't overpowered enough. Now we're gonna get to see it from any monster, I guess. It's so ridiculous. That's the biggest piece of news. This right here is the biggest piece of news. Divination card altars, easily the biggest piece of news from my end, based on how I prefer to farm. You guys must have been waiting for me to read that. Yeah, I bet you guys were sitting there holding back, you know, with your maniacal. Okay, here we go. Okay, yeah, a lot of people complain about burning ground on death from the Searing Exarch monster because it was super powerful and you had to take the blanking out on it. Pantheon, there we go. God, I couldn't think of that word. The Pantheon choice to make yourself immune to burning ground. No longer scales off the main hand attack damage of the monster. Okay, yeah, a highly variable amount. Good, glad to see this change. Notably, yeah, okay. Yep, yeah, good change. That was absolutely ridiculous last season. Okay, this is at least, I guess, technically a buff for Maven witnessing maps. I don't know. Not going to affect me very much. So this is just for the cheapest invitation, presumably. Why? Are people like complaining about this or something? Okay. Maven releases all bosses at once. Like, what was wrong with having the option there? Okay. Yeah, and this is also pretty big news here. So now, I doubt Shaper influence is going to be better than Elder influence. It never was. So Elder Scarabs are back in play, which is good. Diversify our choices for juicing content. Eldritch Scarab typically were not one of the very best choices, but they were always a decent choice for juicing map. And a great thing, you know, it's a nice choice to have instead of, say, Harbingers, for example, where, you know, you have to... So the nice thing about this is that not only is there not a sextant that you have to do with it, you don't even have to have Atlas passives to make it decent. So it is just a straight up, like, if you have no sextant slots available, but you have a Scarab slot available and you just don't know what to do with it and you're trying to use the map, the Elder Scarab is now going to be back on the menu. Yes, you can now stack influences, apparently. Up to 3. So I will definitely be testing Eldritch influence combined with... Elder influence combined with Eldritch influence. And then, you know, with Conquer maps, that'll be the ultimate insane juicing endgame, I guess. Unsure as to whether or not that'll be worth pursuing. Okay, removing the maps, right. I want to see the map list. I need to see the map list. Somebody in the chat said that they removed Cemetery, but somebody else said Cemetery is still in here, so I need to see that map list. The chance for map areas to contain a Mirror of Delirium no longer increases by a small amount for each other League, Atlas, or Master mechanic that appears in the area. I thought it was already like this. This seems like old news. It wasn't already like this. Map areas now have an 8% chance to contain with campaign areas from torches onward having slightly. So once again, we don't know the real number. Slightly higher than 8% chance? I mean, I kind of want to know what the actual chance of a mirror delirium spawning is. Operative strongboxes can no longer drop polished scarabs in white maps or gilded and winged scarabs in white or yellow maps. Okay, no big deal. I'm only farming red maps anyway. That's kind of cool. You know, what they're doing there is effectively nerfing low tier strongbox farming, I guess, which was a thing. I kind of like seeing people. Personally, I don't really like seeing low tier mapping strategies outshining high tier mapping strategy. I mean, that seems kind of dumb for that to be. Like in Scourge League, when that was a thing, I didn't like that. Not trying to rain on anybody's parade. You know, I know there are some people who really like doing low tier magic, so they create like the ultimate glass cannon with as much rarity and quantity of. I mean, that's fine. I mean, it's a cool, diverse way to play, I guess. But in my opinion, I think the game is better when you are pushing towards the higher tier content. And that higher tier content is pretty definitively the best for whatever your goal is. With the exception of just pure fun as a goal. Crafted Harbinger map. Oh, okay, I don't care about that. The following maps have been added back to the Atlas. Somebody said Tropical Island was on there. Boom. Okay, I mean, I can't be too upset about that. If they're going to put Tropical Island back on there, that's exceptional. The best Delirium Mirror map in the game. And also still has a Scout card, which is, you know, a decent, not like, at least A tier Divination card. Although I heard that Divination card drop rate is uncharacteristically low for its value. So I'm a little bit turned off by that, but maybe not. Core back in the map pool. This puts Blight back on the map, so my 3.16 video about Blight may come back to, or there may be a sort of resurgence of that kind of farming, just strictly targeting Blight. It depends on if blighted maps are desired or not. You know, if they're just like 10 chaos apiece, then it's not really going to be a thing, I'm afraid. And my concern is that there's so many great early end game farming strategies now, unlike, you know, in seasons past, that I think Blight just kind of gets shoved into the background a little bit. There's not a huge number of players who are trying to start a league just farming blighted maps anymore. That's affecting the currency earning potential of that strategy. Oh, sorry. Thank you. That's a good idea. Zooming in for you guys. Nobody spoiled the Keurig mods for me yet. I was concerned that they were going to remove Beyond on there, though. I mean, but maybe if they're adding something else, that's interesting. Anyway, continuing. God only knows how long this video is already. The following maps have been removed from the Atlas. I don't see Cemetery. A, B, C. It would have been right here. At least I got Cemetery on the menu, boys. Brother Stash still in the game. Oh my god. Oh my god. That's actually more important than anything for me. I will tell you how much I liked farming Cemetery with the again, the 2-minute shrine buffs and the headhunter strategies with, you know, all that just working out amazingly well, and all the introduction of lower tiers, juicing levels, lower map cost, and just faster mapping, and that actually out competing higher levels of juicing. That was so cool to me because it's so much more enjoyable to gather the materials when you can buy like 100 scarabs at once, and you don't even have to buy maps at all, and then you buy 50 or 100 sextants at once. Cheap sextants and stuff. That is just so nice. Given the HH thing, gold plus shrine could shine even more. Yeah, in a way. In a way, you're right. I mean, indirectly, that's going to make the acceleration shrine, which gives you a staggering 112% increased action speed, certainly is going to be really good. Although the headhunter buffs didn't actually increase action speed, they increased movement speed. So it's still scaled like tremendously. So when you had like 1,000% increased movement speed combined with 112% increased action speed, that was stupid, obviously. So now we'll only have, say, maybe 200% increased movement speed, which is, still going to be okay, I guess. Any other maps that were removed that I really care about? I don't think so. Flooded Mine, some people like that. No, Ashen Woods, right? Man, they didn't... Oh, Coves. Some people like Coves, but I don't see any high-tier maps in here that are worth a lot. Do you guys? I mean, Flooded Mine maybe is like the highest tier map that's removed. Belfry? A lot of people were doing Belfry for something. I guess they were farming the boss on there for the Fiend card or something. Okay, no big deal. Everything's T16 anyway. The following maps can now be found as Blighted maps. Okay, so they just added new Blighted map? Blighted Toxic Sewer? What? Blighted Tower? That's cool. Some people might want to go Blighted map because of the new map pool. I don't think it makes a huge difference. Core Blight. Man, you guys are making me... I don't know. Maybe I have to do core blight farming. I don't want to get stuck doing core blight farming again and then have it be lackluster. I'm afraid. Anyway. Some divination cards have found new homes as a result of the Atlas. Yeah, okay, of course. I don't know what the price of production is. Humility, the Offspring. I don't know what any of those are. They don't sound like divination cards that are high value. Expedition changes. Okay, Expedition, did it get nerfed? Probably did. Expedition 1 was providing a chance or a who gives a crap nerf. Sounds like what this is. Okay, that doesn't really matter, does it? Probably bad for solo self-found players, I guess. Huh. Item changes. Okay. This is kind of boss stuff. I just found this card. Yeah, Draped in Dreams. It's actually a fairly common divination card. The problem is the Astral Plate always comes out item level 80. So now if it's Influence 6-linked Astral Plate item level 100, then whoa, like that's that suddenly becomes like a 2x, 3x item. So that card's gonna go way up in value. Now, I wonder if they increase the rarity of it. Where does Draped in Dreams drop? Does anybody know? That could actually be a pretty good card to farm in the very beginning of the league. The monochrome divination card can once again be obtained and now awards 2 elevated sextants. I don't know what this card is, but I was just talking about elevated sextants being so short in supply this past league, making insane levels of juicing even less obtainable. Okay. I don't know what that is, where it's obtained, but good to see. Divination card for Elevated Sextants. Side quest divination card now awards 20 scouting reports. Okay. Corrupted 23 alternate quality level 21. Oh, Jesus Christ, man. That is a strong div card. Good God. So this card is essentially that Dying Anguish, which is a 2 or 3 chaos divination card, but instead of giving you 1919 uncorrupted, it's 21 23. Whoa, that is, oh my God, this would be like at least a half X card, I would say. Maybe not quite half. I don't know. That's some serious gambling. There's gonna be so many people making gambling videos out of this, for sure, this season. Okay, that's it for their monster balance changes. Everything is harder. Grasping Vines applied by the Ramble Valley map boss. Okay, that's a very, very specific thing. Okay, reduced the base movement speed reduction from almost all sources of Grasping Vines debuff. Well, you know, we'll sing a small hallelujah for all the Redditors out there. I'm sure they are praising the big Jesus out of this line. I kind of circumvented Grasping Vines by just moving at like 2,000% increased movement speed by default while I'm mapping, and then getting Shroud Walker. So, you know, if you have Shroud Walker constantly teleporting you everywhere, then you're not getting affected by Grasping Vines anyway. But there were some moments, definitely, when I was mapping. You would have heard me in the highlights that Grasping Vines would still get me killed sometimes, even with my character as geared as he is, or certainly slow me down in kind of a significant way. Fortune favors the brave, costs 3 Chaos Orbs. One of these options will be applied at random, including those you have not unlocked. Is that not the same as before? Breach costs 2 Chaos. The area contains additional. Oh, okay. It's just the same ones. Domination. Area contains 4 additional shrines. 4. It was not 4 last time. It was 3. What? Oh, Delirium. Okay. Yeah. Well, obviously, I'm going to select Delirium every time. This is actually kind of what I really didn't want to see as a choice, so I was hoping Beyond was still on there and not Delirium. The fact that Harvest is on there is fine. I don't care about that, really. I would actually like this selection a lot better if Delirium wasn't on there, because then it would have made my choice easy. I would have selected Domination every time. Now, for higher levels of juicing, obviously I have to select Delirium, which means, you know, and what that means is when, for one thing, when I try to do like early mapping strategy and try to farm up like Delirium Orbs and stuff, Delirium Orbs are no longer be worth anything. Any sort of just like trying to go for Delirium Sextant and using that as a valid farming strategy, that's going to be out of play now. Delirium Sextant is now basically worthless. Yeah, I don't know. I have mixed feelings about it. It's really so sad whenever, you know, you have something like Domination on there, and then it's like, oh, I'm so excited, I'm gonna now play like massive shrine gameplay, and then Delirium's on there. So I don't know. Also, the fact that Beyond is not on there means that most of my maps, with my previous mapping strategy, is not going to have much Beyond, because I wasn't using the Beyond Sextant for this sort of lower cost farming strategies, and I wasn't rolling beyond the map because I was just taking the 8-modded corrupted map. So now maybe we go back to rolling our maps with beyond on them, and that's going to add a lot of time. I don't know. I really kind of don't want to do that. Yeah. So someone, Iodox made a good point. Or, sorry, Ductapal made a good point here, saying one nice thing about this is that we'll unlock domination fairly early in the map, in the map progression process, and I can obviously do this, choose this while I'm under geared, and I don't even have my headhunter left. I don't have mirrored gear at all, and it'll make mapping so easy. It'll just be so easy. But at the same time, I don't know what this is going to do. I forgot what this does to the marketplace when you can just roll delirium on mirrored delirium. It was like this for wasn't it like this for expedition? Wasn't this a choice for expedition? Or maybe it was for ultimatum. I don't know. One of those two. You could just throw a mirror of delirium on any map you wanted. Or maybe it was Scourge League. But I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure it's going to make things less enjoyable for me. The fact that this is on here, for what it will do to the marketplace, for items and, my preferred farming strategies. I like running with a Mirror of Delirium, but, yeah, I don't know, maybe it'll be better. I don't know. So, Mirror of Delirium probably adds about as many monsters as Beyond does already. It's hard to say. Certainly 8-modded corrupted, and so now for sure 8-mod corrupted maps that roll Beyond on them are going to be worth way more than they were last season. Interface changes. Okay, yeah. I don't really care about this. I think we're getting near the end of this finally. Controller support changes. Okay, controller support. Bug fixes. Anything on here that was crazy bug fixes? Really? I didn't know that. In yellow tier maps, dropped the wrong thing. Fixed an issue where operative strongboxes with the contains additional map currency were dropping more map currency. Oh, come on, get out of here. Yeah, that was pretty obvious. That sometimes I would open a operative strongbox and it would drop 20 awakened sextants. What? So it dropped 10 and then duplicated it as well. I am pretty sure that was kind of wild when that happened. Not really sure what was going on there. So yeah, I guess that was a programming bug. It made Strongbox a little better than it should have been. I got 1 tier for that one, I guess. Fixed, save it. Oh, really? This was relevant for Toxic Rain when I played that. Fixed an uncommon client crash. Well, I wonder if that's my client crash. We really hope you enjoy Path of Exile Sentinel. Thanks for your support. Pog. Best patch notes ever. Pog. Even better the second time you read them. Well, okay, I'm not gonna make you guys sit through that again. This guy. The random is like, Pog, great, Pog. Hey, can you please nerf this? The game is too easy. Okay? Everything is fun. Okay. All right. Well, my friends, that is it. I have now... Whoa! What was the default? Maybe this? This? I think it was this. Okay, we've now done the reaction video to Sentinel. That was God knows how long. Only an hour and 40 minutes. No big deal. I'm sure some of you probably watched the whole thing. If you're crazy enough. I'm definitely looking forward to this league, so there was a lot to unpack there. Biggest reveal, my conclusion to this is the biggest reveal for me was now having Eldritch altars that give chance for divination cards to drop. The biggest question I have is whether or not those divination cards are map specific or they are global. I have a feeling, just my impression, my guess, wild guess, but I suspect that they are map specific drops. Let me think. Currency can't be applied that way. Scarabs can be applied. Yeah, there's no way to really tell. However, there actually is one way to tell. There is one way to tell. When you get the altar influence, minions have a chance to drop Eldritch currency. It is almost, I don't know if it's 100% of the time. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 100% of the time. If you get Eldritch currency from that source, the source from altars, it is always of the influence that you have on the map. It is not the opposite influence. I have, in some cases, seen Eldritch currency drop from the opposing influence in a map. So if I'm running Eater of Worlds, I have seen Searing Exarch currency drop, but it's ultra rare, and I suspect it's coming from a different source. So that suggests to me, that right there suggests to me that it probably is that they will behave in a map-specific kind of way, which is outstanding for me. Farming divination card. So that's such a huge even if it is like, even if it is global, that's cool. But especially if it's map specific, that is such a huge plus to me that kind of overrides any other nerfs or whatever. So we did have indirectly some nerfs to Headhunter. Now you can only acquire one Headhunter buff at one time. That is definitely going to affect my gameplay. It's going to slow me down a bit. That's good for the game, I think. Good for the. I'm not complaining about that. I'm sure some people are. Other major changes was the map pool. Cemetery is still in the map pool. We now have Tropical Island. We now have Core. So Blight. Farming Blight, like my 3.16 super hype video was, that is back in play. I don't think I'm going to pursue that strategy. I don't know. We'll think about it. Sentinel League, there's too much complexity in there. I don't know about the Sentinel mechanic. I'm going to have to kind of research it and play around with it. And honestly, I'll probably tinker around with it in a very surface level kind of way in Act 1 when I'm leveling, and then I'm not even going to touch it between Act 2 and 10, or probably not even all the way till I get to red maps, maybe. Start completing my atlas, then I'll probably start messing with it. Because these sorts of things just have a tendency to slow your league start down way more than they help you in any way. So I think that's smart play there. Well, if you have any questions and or comments, if there's something, let me know what you thought about the patch notes and the reveal. What was your biggest, what's your biggest complaint? What's your biggest praise, I guess, is the big question. I look forward to hearing what you guys say. I'll probably reply to you pretty quick today. Still on vacation. And the next reaction video was probably not very long. It was probably quite a long ways away. There's nothing in the back of my mind that I plan to make as far as reacting. I hope you enjoyed this reaction, and I'll see you guys in the game. Basically, the next on the agenda is preparing for the leveling process and figuring out the new Soul Thirst build that I'm going to do. Well, that's all I got for you folks. I will see you around.